What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Establish the Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with Mike Gallagher to walk you through tonight's 7-game slate in the association. We are still on condensed schedule, back-to-back period of the schedule, but we are getting a little bit of a reprieve with 7-game slate today, 6-game slate tomorrow. It is an earlier start time tomorrow. A couple of scheduling notes before we get into the show today, and I'll reiterate some of these at the end of the show for people who jump in midway through. First and foremost, we will have a show tomorrow. I know there's afternoon games tomorrow. We will have a show in advance of those afternoon games tomorrow. That will be our last free show. This show will be going premium behind the paywall. To be able to access this show, you will need a subscription either to our NBA DFS subscription or our NBA prop subscription. We're also launching on 1/1 a projections-only subscription to the props package that will have the projections still releasing at the same time, 5 p.m. Eastern time, as we've released them in our Props Plus official releases package. Either one of a sub to either one of those packages will allow you access to this show. But as the prop streets continue to get it more challenging, more demanding, we are putting this stuff behind the paywall in order to show some respect to the customers there, because we know things are getting more and more challenging. So there will be a show tomorrow. It will be the last free edition of this show going forward. We'll be back behind the paywall. We'll still be posting content on this YouTube page. It'll be video versions of our podcast, as well as any other additional content on the NBA side that we're putting out there, fun stuff that we'll do during the course of the season as NFL winds down. But some programming notes there to start. With me to walk through this free edition of this show today and tomorrow, Mike Gallagher. Mike, how are you doing today?
Doing all right. Got one fantasy football championship under my belt. Happy about that. I need a Monra to get 8 points tonight. So don't rest him, Dan Campbell. But yeah, exciting, nice even week. So pretty exciting slate here. A lot of news to talk through. A lot of questionable tags again, so excited to talk through it.
All right, let's get to it. Let's start with Chicago and Charlotte. On the Chicago side of things, they are likely without Ayo Dosunmu. He's listed doubtful tonight with that right soleus strain. They said he's going to be out for the next 2 weeks, so I'm not sure about this doubtful tag listing. Jalen Smith is questionable with left ankle sprain. He was a late add and late scratch last time out, and then they've got probable tags on Josh Giddey coming off of his best performance of the season, and Zach LaVine. Giddey with a right ankle sprain, LaVine with left toe soreness. They're without their G Leaguers today. What are your notes on the Bulls here?
Yeah, as you noted, Josh Giddey returned and played great. He was on a minutes limit, got talked up for his defense, interestingly enough, but really good game from him there. So yeah, that should get him obviously probably around that 30-minute mark. They had minutes limits on him, Lonzo, and Patrick Williams. Should note Patrick Williams was on that 20 to 24-minute limit, but that has gone in the last two, getting up to 29 minutes over the weekend. So no official number, but he is on a minutes limit. I guess it's 30. They're probably in that 25-30 sweet spot, I would say right now. With that, LaVine, new injury here, not the same foot that was causing him to miss some time earlier on a toe. Doesn't have a history there either. So should be good to go. But yeah, other than the minutes limits, should be mostly stable. Probably going to see Javon Carter, who had that big first quarter against the Hawks. It got really pulled back. Taylor Horton-Tucker getting pulled back as well. And then, of course, as we saw, Sticks, gets a probable tag. We joke about him in warmups again. So we'll see if he can get back out there from the injury that cut him down over the weekend. But if he is out, it's worth noting that Vooch did get to 38 minutes here. Billy Donovan said he played him too much with some pretty long stints in the second half. So that would be, really good news for Vooch in a matchup that we absolutely love against the Hornets.
Yeah, and it looks like they were willing to go with Torrey Craig backup center, but not for very much. So just to note that if they were taking Vooch down, Torrey Craig and Jalen Smith is out. Torrey Craig probably in the rotation, but probably not more than just the backups, the non-Vooch minutes there. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go to the Charlotte side of things. No Lonzo LaMelo match tonight, as I know Winky is very disappointed by. LaMelo listed as doubtful with left ankle and right wrist soreness. Tough combination there. They're still without Trey Mann. Nick Smith Jr. is on G League assignment, and Grant Williams is lost for the season. They also have doubtful tags on Brandon Miller and Cody Martin, and an available tag on KJ Simpson. So calling up KJ Simpson from the G League to add some guard depth. What are your notes here on the Hornets?
Yeah, not great for Brandon Miller. Plays the one game and then is out again 2 straight. So this is a bit of a concern here. We thought that ankle injury wasn't very serious, and it caused him to miss more time than I thought. And then now aggravation after playing to the close. So looks like some lingering soreness to keep him out, which should be a second game with a doubtful tag. As you noted, LaMelo hurt again. Doesn't really sound too bad here, but could definitely going to miss this one, I would say, with the doubtful tag there. We'll see possible tanking implications here as the Hornets are slipping in the standings a little bit. They did start Vasiljevic. Would expect that to happen again. Josh Green, Seth Curry. Not as confident that Seth Curry's 6 in the starting lineup. I wouldn't be surprised now that they called up KJ Simpson if they tweak that around. The 2 candidates would be Salon could possibly start. We've seen that big lineup at times in the preseason and throughout the season. So Salon, I could see him starting, got kind of started minutes off the bench. And then the other candidate I think would be Isaiah Wong. And then I think KJ Simpson, as you noted, got called up this morning. I think he's going to play. So Seth might get really cut. We saw him basically be out of the rotation if he's not starting. So we have a hedge on Seth Curry as a starter right now. I think he's going to start, but just now that they called up KJ and they want to play him, I think there's a wide range of outcomes on Seth Curry's minutes. And then also the Cody Martin knee tag added late on Saturday with the questionable tag. This is the same knee that kept him basically out all of last year. So big concern on that one.
Yeah, it's a weird kind of ride with Seth Curry from a minutes perspective because, as you noted, he's not starting. He's not playing a lot. And then when he did start this game, he played like 10 first quarter minutes, played like 14 or 15 first half minutes, and then like barely played in the second half. So they're obviously trying to get looks at younger guys, and calling up KJ Simpson is another threat to his potential minutes. All right, let's go to the Knicks and Washington. Really entertaining matchup when these two teams squared off over the weekend. Overtime win for the Knicks. Jalen Brunson was questionable that game. Went nuts, 50-plus points, almost 10 assists as well. Questionable again today with the right calf tightness. Will he play? Will he go nuts once again today?
Yeah, same tag. He got the questionable tag for this on Saturday. Obviously, looked very good with the 55-point performance there. So, yeah, we'll see. Definitely something to keep an eye on with the tightness thing, something that probably plays today, but back-to-back situations would be something to monitor. Potentially some value there with the Knicks run back-to-backs if you want to do the hashtag 20 and after and possibly hunt some Knicks Dales later on when they do get it back-to-back. But, yeah, I think he's in. Obviously not a serious injury with the same listing there. Other than that, not too much to note. Landry Shamet, as we kind of hinted at, cutting into campaign as those two look to be fighting for the 8th man in the rotation spot. Cam did have a little ankle tweak last time that could be part of it as well. So, yeah, we know the 7's firm and obviously huge minutes on these guys. It was overtime, but, yeah, routinely playing 40 minutes. Mikal gets up to 47 with the overtime frame. So, yeah, we know Tibbs is not messing around here with these minutes.
Yeah, and one of the big question marks we had with the addition of Landry Shamet is if he would be more of a threat to a 9-man rotation than an 8-man rotation. So far, that has not really been the case because him and Campaign have been kind of splitting those minutes. We'll see. As the season schedule gets more condensed and different things, you might see them lengthen out, but it's probably more likely with Tibbs you just see guys rest and then he plays still really tight rotations. All right, Washington side. No Marvin Bagley with the right knee sprain. Sadiq Bey remains out in his recovery from left knee ACL surgery. And then questionable tags on Anthony Gill, Jordan Poole with a left hip contusion. He missed this last game as well. And then Alex Sarr got a midday ad with a non-COVID illness questionable tag. What are your notes here on Washington?
Yeah, Kyle Kuzma also back here. Expecting him to start. And then Alex Sarr, as you noted, was a late add, the Q tag with the illness. So we know how those go. Very bleak there. I think if Sarr sat, would almost certainly be Jonas Valanciunas in the first unit. So if Sarr's in, he's obviously starting at center, and then it would be Valanciunas behind him. And then the other starters, obviously, Bilal should be locked. Obviously, Jordan Poole, if he can go, would be locked in there. Kuzma, and Bub. I think Bub Carrington would get the start here, and they would bring Malcolm Brogdon off the bench. We'll see what happens with Justin Champagne's minutes. Plays 45, scores 31 in this game. So he's probably done enough where he should get minutes, right? Like the guy was completely out of the rotation like 2 weeks. Basically, when Kyle Kuzma went down, he wasn't playing at all, and he's really pushed up some minutes. One Champagne losing minutes, one gaining. So yeah, it's a question if he gets in there. That could put a bit of a squeeze on Keyshawn George, Corey Kispert, they'll be in the rotation, but there's a chance that they can't get to 20 minutes if they did want to play Champagne, and I don't know why they wouldn't. And then also if they don't have Sarr, that's probably going to bring in. And if they don't have Gill, that should bring Rashawn Holmes in the mix. Overall, you obviously need the size against Cat, who's going to play a ton of minutes. So, and then the Poole thing, not a serious injury. He was questionable last game and didn't play. I think he's probably in, but again, it's the Wizards. They are tanking. Yep. Definitely, they could definitely. And again, they want to play Champagny. So the easiest way to do that would just be to sit Poole, and then now you're good. It might be like just to play young kids and sit them out.
We also could be heading to a 10-man rotation. There's still plenty of room to have a 10-man rotation here and spread minutes out a little bit more than they were in the past. That has not been the MO as much this year, but that has been the MO in past years with Washington, obviously different coaching staffs. But yeah, I think we could end up getting to a 10-man rotation at some point as well. Okay, Clippers and Pelicans. On the Clippers side, no Kawhi Leonard, no Terrence Mann, no PJ Tucker, Cam Christie, or Trenton Flowers. Otherwise, the injury report here is clean. What are your notes on the Clippers?
Yeah, the big news over the weekend was that Kawhi Leonard has a target of the 4th of January. So he's going through practice. He's been down with the San Diego G League team. They'll have one more week without Kawhi. You would assume eventually that would probably bump out Derek Jones Jr. I think Chris Dunn's kind of done enough. Wouldn't be surprised if they did bump out Chris Dunn, but I think Chris Dunn's playing really well. And, we joked about it, like this guy can never get to 25 minutes, 3 straight now, where Chris Dunn has played full minutes. So Chris Dunn trending in the right direction and has been playing awesome, really nice pickup for the Clips there. And again, they're playing awesome basketball. So yeah, that's the big note. As we noted, Ivica Zubac had that Q tag last week in the middle of the week and dominated. It had dominated again with 5 blocks, just absolutely smashing. So he's good to go just from that kick to the calf. He'll be in a pretty big spot here. And then yeah, everything's pretty much the same situation. They are going to get, I should mention too, Kevin Porter Jr. Missed the last game for illness. He'll be back. We'll keep an eye on if he's going to be limited. The Clippers at times haven't listed guys with illness. We find out after the fact. So, could be a chance that Kevin Porter Jr.'s minutes are a little bit lighter, even though he's not listed.
Yep. All right, let's go to the New Orleans side of things, where Yves Missi is listed available with a mid-back contusion. Otherwise, out tags for Jose Alvarado, Brandon Ingram, Karlo Matkovic, and Zion Williamson. What are your notes on the Pels?
Yeah, we saw Yves Missi have a really bad fall in the first half, and played through it. Looks like he's gonna be okay. Got the upgraded to available tag. So yeah, I think he'll be unaffected for the most part, but that's kind of why his minutes were pretty light. Herb Jones foul fest early, but that does get a lot of minutes later to get him to 28. This game, as you know, was gonna be it was looking like it was gonna be a big blowout, and then John Morant goes down. John Morant looks like he's going to miss, maybe a week, 2 more. We'll see with that shoulder injury. It's a little bit scary there. But yeah, other than that, we kind of know what we're getting here. The starters will remain the same. Daniel Tice should get most of the non-Missi center minutes. Jordan Hawkins' minutes came way back down. That was a bit of a surprise. But yeah, these Pelicans, if they could keep this game close, you should get pretty good minutes out of DeJounte, CJ, Trey, and Herb if he doesn't foul Harden.
Yeah, that's been the big thing with them, right? Is if the game is close, mega minutes, but they're seeming like a coin flip to keep it close each game. Yeah. They're teetering each game because they really don't have a lot of depth, and especially this bench unit is just really, really a struggle. Do you think Daniel Tice's play last game, which was really, really good, do you think that may have earned him more minutes and more of a solid hold on the backup center job behind Yves Missi?
I think he's got it. I think that if maybe pick an outcome, it would be full 48. Missi getting 30, 32, and then Tice probably getting the rest. Especially if you need the minutes for Zoo. I would expect Zoo to play more than Missi. So yeah, I feel pretty good about Tice. Revenge game for him too.
Yep. All right, let's go to Denver at Utah. On the Denver side of things, they're still without Aaron Gordon with that right calf strain. They're also listing out Trey Alexander for the G League two-way, Deron Holmes, Vlatko Konchar, and PJ Hall. Fairly stable injury report for Denver. What are your notes here?
Yeah, they're just rolling with this Russell Westbrook starting lineup situation. Don't expect that to change here. If they've done it against Detroit, and then did it against the Cavs. So if you're going to do it against the Cavs, you'd feel pretty good about them really in any situation going that route. So yeah, other than that, rotation's pretty straightforward here. It looks like DeAndre Jordan should handle the non-jokers, and then Julian Strawther, Hunter Tyson, and Peyton Watson running at the bench. And should also note Jamal Murray. We've been, talking about his ankle injury, but 40 minutes in a back-to-back game, so he is quite full now. MPJ's minutes have been pretty strong. and then Christian Brown generally been pretty strong. But they Mike Malone really played these guys a good bit. He almost said he didn't really want to because he thought the game got kind of tight. Like you see the fourth quarter, it was 32-20. They shouldn't have had to put their starters back in, and Malone did. So, but yeah, they're pretty straightforward rotation right now.
Utah side, we just got an update on them before we logged on. John Collins is doubtful with a left hip contusion. Colin Sexton still got that available tag that he's had for a month now. And Keontae George was originally listed questionable. He's now been upgraded to probable with the left ankle sprain. What are your notes here on the Jazz?
Yeah, we've been waiting for Keontae to get upgraded. He's been listed questionable routinely and hasn't been playing, but now for an injury that wasn't serious, we saw him get into the argument with the fan in Detroit and then go to the locker room for that ankle twing, came back and was fine. So yeah, really surprising that it took him this long to get back, but he should be back and full, a little bit of a minutes management thing. But yeah, it didn't look bad. I'm curious if it was just to play some of these younger guys. So this is a bit of a mess now because we have him back and presumably starting, and you would assume that most of these 4 of these situations are pretty much locked. Keontae, Colin Sexton, Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen. Lauri Markkanen also playing longer stints in the first quarter, by the way. They changed that rotation a little bit. So, low key, kind of like Lauri Markkanen first quarter points now, as an aside. And then the 5th starter is, get ready to clown me, but I think it's Cody Williams. I think he's kind of done enough. He's going to probably be their main on-ball defender here. So I think he's done enough to be in the starting unit. And then the bench group, I think, is going to be Isaiah Collier playing behind Keontae. I think Johnny Juzang, Bryce Sensabaugh, and Jordan Clarkson are kind of the 4-man perimeter guys. And then I think Kyle Filipowski plays at the 5. So I think this could squeeze out Micah Potter and Drew Eubanks. Not 100%. It could be Micah Potter in over Juzang or Bryce Sensabaugh or even Collier. One of those guys could get squeezed. So, the 7-8 guys are pretty firm, but, the 9th and 10th and possibly 11th, it's a bit of a bit in flux because they've got a little bit more depth on the back end.
Yeah, and it makes sense for Cody Williams to be the potential 5th starter here. Just if you think back to the way they started this season, right? Taylor Hendricks, sort of a young, defensive-oriented player, not going to take a lot of shots, was kind of meant to be in that starting lineup next to Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler. And then he gets hurt. They end up elevating John Collins into that starting lineup. John Collins kind of runs with it and then kind of stuck there. I think they do want more of a defensive presence and a younger wing defender in there next to Lauri. So I think that makes sense. Whether he, produces from a fantasy perspective still remains to be seen. And then Keontae, your speculation, I think, is interesting that we're right around that December 15th mark that this all happened as well. And Jordan Clarkson's got to be one of the most tradable candidates in the league. So you wonder if they, maybe they have some ongoing talks and somebody was like, hey, we'd like to see a little bit more of Clarkson or different things like that. But we'll be interested to see how his minutes are affected by Keontae's return. As
it should add too.
In the past had not overlapped a ton.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the Nets are unloading all these guys, and the Jazz have some tradable pieces. They're sitting on their hands right now. So, get in there and start tanking. And I was looking at the tankathon. Like they've got some work to do. The Pelicans are just crushing. If I could just pull this up really quick. Utah's, I think they're top 10 protected as well, but they're hanging in there. But let's see some the Nets. Hopefully they kickstart this trade stuff. Noah Clowney free, by the way.
All right. On to the Cleveland and Golden State game. On the Cleveland side, no Amani Bates, Isaac Okoro, JT Thor, or Luke Travers. No other questionable tags on the injury report for Cleveland, so fairly clean here. What are your notes on the Cavs, who are one of the 2 teams that are on the front of a back-to-back today? It's Cleveland and the Clippers that are the 2 teams on the front end of the back-to-back today.
Yeah, the only note here is, one, they're very, very, very good. We talked about how this team, I flag planted Donovan Mitchell. We talked about how all these Cavs are in a good spot to produce against a struggling Denver defense, and they go out there and put up 149 on them. So, yeah, they're awesome. First in the NBA in offense, just killing it from 3. I believe the stat during the presser was that they're the second NBA team to have 20 3-pointers made in a row. The only other team in NBA history was the Celtics last year. So Cavs certainly on cruise control, expecting to score a ton. The only question here is, does Max Strus start now, getting up to 24 minutes? Dean Wade's been very good in the first unit. So I don't know. They might just keep Dean Wade because what they've got going right now is just so good. But yeah, keep an eye on if Max Strus does unseat Wade. But like I said, I think they may just keep him off the bench because why mess with a good thing?
Yeah, I also think that Strus, in terms of fits for first unit, second unit, right? Strus has a little bit more offensive creation, a little bit more ability to run things through him. Having him in the second unit with Karis LeVert, while they've been de-emphasizing Ty Jerome a little bit, like makes sense in terms of just having some balance between first unit, second unit scoring. Whereas Dean Wade, primary wing defender for them. And that first unit without Isaac Okoro is a little bit light on that primary wing defender bucket. So I think you're right. I think Wade continues to start. I think it does depend on matchup some. This is an interesting matchup in the case that the Warriors are probably going to have their primary wing scorer come off the bench and not in the starting lineup. So maybe that flips things around. But yeah, that's definitely the way that I'd look at things most likely going forward, is that Wade probably is able to start as long as he's able to stay healthy, just because of the defense that he brings to the table in that first unit.
Yeah. And one more thing to add really quick. It looks to be Ty Jerome getting squeezed a little bit more than Sam Merrill. We'll see if that continues or if it's case by case, but certainly expecting those two guys to get squeezed as Max Strus minutes ramp up. I don't think it's Wade. I think Wade's pretty stable.
Yep, agreed. Golden State side of things, they're without Gary Payton tonight and Brandon Pajemski with the right abdominal tightness listing and left calf strain for Gary Payton. Moses Moody listed probable here with left knee patellar tendinopathy. What are your notes on the Warriors?
So I think for the first time, maybe all season, I feel pretty good about the starting lineup. Steve Kerr basically said he's going to stick with this group and make Jonathan Kuminga one of their sixth man and play him quote unquote starters minutes. Was fantastic in this game. Scores 34 off the bench, got to the line, made transition running, all that good stuff. So yeah, I think they stick with this lineup of Steph, Schroeder, Andrew Wiggins, whose minutes have really come up lately when the games have been close. Draymond also playing a lot. Like you don't see a lot of 35s for the Warriors, so they really tighten this thing up. And if they want to play Kuminga starters minutes, you can't play 12 guys. So I think that they are going to tighten it up. Obviously, no pods will help. They should get Moses Moody back. He is probable. So the starters will remain the same. Kuminga will be getting pretty strong minutes. We're trying to be careful. Like I don't want. I'm. You probably got the Slack message ready to go if Kuminga has only 24 minutes today. Yeah, I feel pretty good about that core six. And then I think Buddy, whose minutes were really light, played poorly. His minutes have not been very good, but he'll be in the rotation. I think Moody's in the rotation. And I also think for the matchup, I think Kevon Looney, who was a DMP CD, I think he's in the rotation today just because you need size against this Cavs team, and he could nip at Trace Jackson Davis. They are going to start Trace, though. I feel pretty confident in that. So, yeah, I think that mostly irons it out. But the questions are, is Moody ahead of Lindy Waters, and is Kevon Looney playing, and if so, how much?
Yeah, everybody's been a little bit more honest with themselves in Golden State the last few days. As their record dipped towards 500, you heard Draymond Green say, "I didn't really want to play the 5 at the beginning of the year, but I hate losing more than I hate playing the 5." So this is the thing: Trace and Kuminga can't really play together very often because of their defensive limitations. Kuminga is not really a 3 because you want him to be able to have space to attack the rim because that's when he's at his best. Mm-hmm. And so you need Dre at the 5 and Kuminga at the 4. That's your best lineup. That's what has worked over the last 2 years. It's the thing that's consistently worked. But Dre didn't want to play the 5. Kuminga can't because of his limitations and Trace's limitations. He doesn't fit great with other guys. So the way that the Warriors could have fixed this, right, is go out and get a floor spacing 5. They have not done that. And so we've been in this push and pull, and early in the season, they were playing well enough that it could kind of hide everything. Then they started to struggle. Now we're starting to see everybody get a little bit more honest about how this really works. And so Kuminga at the 4 is the best way to play him. Kuminga with a floor spacing 5 that gives him room to attack and be consistent in terms of attacking the rim. Best way to play him. So the Warriors are figuring out. The question is, can these guys' bodies hold up with the best way that they need to play? Or do they need to go out and make an addition to another floor spacing 5 to help ease the burden on Draymond Green? And that's what we're going to see. We'll see if Draymond can handle 35. We'll see if Steph can handle 35 minutes a game. I'm not optimistic. And so ultimately, these are the challenges that the Warriors are dealing with, but they do seem to have figured out what the answer is. How long can we play with that answer is the question mark now.
Yep.
Okay.
John Collins, the trade for John Collins, it seems like a pretty decent fit.
They could do that too. Yeah, that would be reasonable as well. Vooch is the Chicago Bulls fans' hope, but we'll see. On to Dallas, Dallas and Sacramento. On the Dallas side of things, they remain without Luka Doncic, Dante Exum, and Najee Marshall, who is dealing with a league suspension. Derek Lively is questionable with a left hip contusion. What are your notes on the Mavericks?
Yeah, they'll get PJ back. He was suspended for one game. They did lose to the Blazers over the weekend. Shout out Blazers. I got Blazers +5. So yeah, the question would be who starts next to Kyrie. Obviously, Kyrie, Clay, PJ Washington, and then Derek Lively. If he can go, it would be Daniel Gafford if he can't go. So who's that fifth starter? It's pretty much between two guys. Should note they did start Najee Marshall before, but he's obviously suspended a couple more here. So based on Jason Kidd's commentary, I think it's going to be Spencer Dinwiddie. They started Maxi Kleba because they wanted to have someone for Jeremy Grant. So had they been a little bit smaller at the 4 on the Blazers side, maybe they would have started Quentin Grimes in a bit of a smaller lineup with Clay at the 4, which is what I thought they were going to do. But yeah, I think it's going to be Spencer Dinwiddie, who's been playing pretty well, playing pretty full minutes. So yeah, again, to recap, Kyrie, Spencer Dinwiddie, Clay, PJ Washington back, and then one of the centers as well. We'll still see Quentin Grimes with a prominent role at the bench. How much does Jaden Hardy play is one of the bigger questions. Does he play at all? We saw 2 games ago, Kidd says he's going to play him and then didn't play him. And then he only got to 17 minutes when they were really shorthanded. So bringing back PJ Washington, sliding up and making guys bigger in the rotation could really start to squeeze Jaden Hardy. And possibly, my point here is like Omax Prosper could be in the rotation over Jaden Hardy. So something to keep an eye out for the back, the last guy in the rotation.
All right, Sacramento side of things, they listed all their G Leaguers out here: Orlando Robinson, Mason Jones, Isaac Jones, Colby Jones. Still without Devin Carter, although the tag has changed to return to competition reconditioning. So maybe see him in the next few weeks. Isaiah Crawford, another G Leaguer that's out. And then Jay Crowder is listed questionable with lower back soreness. Has not been a part of the rotation of late. What are your notes on the Kings with a new coaching change over the weekend?
Yep. Doug Christie taking over, and the headline here so far is obviously Sabonis foul trouble, was playing through illness as well. So yeah, he kind of battled through it according to Doug Christie. So should be good to go. Keep an eye on his minutes. We know Sabonis plays through everything, including that fractured thumb, avulsion fracture last year. So he'll be in there. A lot of minutes on DeMar. Obviously, if you've been on Twitter, you may have seen some comments about Mike Brown and De'Aaron Fox, Lou Williams, and then De'Aaron Fox quote tweeting Lou Williams, and then Lou Williams quote tweeting De'Aaron Fox. So it's a quote tweet fest here. But yeah, starters should be the same. There was some comments from Doug Christie saying they're going to stick with that overall. And then the bench, Trey Lyles will be in there. We'll see if Alex Len and Kevin Huerter and Keon, those are kind of their core guys. And then just the other note is like, again, 39 minutes for De'Aaron, 41 for DeMar. We were waiting to see if Doug Christie will play like Mike Brown like minutes for these guys, and the early indications are that he will. And then the other note that's a bit of a matchup driven note, the Kings are like really, really aggressive with putting 2 on the ball, and it's led to a lot of catch and shoot stuff. So I'm curious to see if that is still implemented by Doug Christie down the line. So from a matchup perspective, that's something that I'm going to be kind of monitoring if they are a really big catch and shoot funnel, which they have been to start the season.
Yeah, and would note those things are going to take time, any implemented changes, because teams just don't have a lot of practice time in the NBA, because it's basically like the game, off day, game, off day, game. And so with these teams not having a lot of practice time, there's not a lot of chances to implement new things. It kind of tends to be status quo from a play type standpoint, and then that tends to change. Maybe after the All-Star break, we might see some bigger changes, different things like that, just in terms of the timing. All right, Philadelphia and Portland, last game of the slate to talk through, and of course, filled with questionable tags on this one. On the Philadelphia side, Andre Drummond, left toe sprain, Joel Embiid, left foot sprain, right, and a sinus fracture, mask listing, and then Eric Gordon with left oral surgery, all Q. KJ Martin is out, and Jared McCain, of course, is out. What are your notes on the Q tags for Philadelphia?
Yeah, Embiid got this Q tag over the weekend as well and was fine, so he should be good. As you know, shout out Cody Zeller. We're going to see that mask tag on Embiid for a little bit, which he doesn't like apparently. So yeah, I expect him in. It is Joel Embiid, so always caution with any time he's questionable. Yeah, other than that, we saw Andre Drummond miss the last one, pretty legit injury, so he could definitely miss again. That would obviously boost Gershon Yabusele, and then we've seen Eric Gordon miss last couple games for the oral surgery, so he could come back. That would put the squeeze on Reggie Jackson and or Ricky Council. I think Kyle Lowry's minutes are mostly secure, but if they're going to play Lowry and they're going to bring Eric Gordon back. And they might not. Eric Gordon could definitely be a fake active. He's far from a rotation lock. So yeah, it's going to squeeze Reggie Jackson, Ricky Council, or Eric Gordon. But I think Lowry, and then also should note, if Drummond's in, then you're playing more Yabo at the 4, and that'll squeeze the guards. So a lot of you're certainly not playing backup 76ers guards, but from a minutes perspective, those guys could get squeezed a little bit.
If Drummond were available, would that also impact the ceiling on Caleb Martin minutes? Because it would be pushing things around. We know he's played a lot on Christmas Day, a lot in this next game, in part because of some of the thin nature of the front court. What are your thoughts on Caleb Martin?
I feel like he's pretty good. I wanted to push him up more minutes. Really 2 games in a row, he's healthy and rested. We talked about this last week, where Nick Nurse said that time off from the shoulder injury really got him kind of in a good groove. So yeah, I feel like he's mostly bulletproof. Maybe, as you noted, maybe he doesn't have like 38 upside in him, but I think 36 is certainly in play here.
Okay, Portland side of things, 4 questionable tags here. Jeremy Grant, face contusion. Tamani Kamara, left foot sprain. Delano Banton, left hip contusion. And Robert Williams, right ankle sprain. They remain without Matisse Thybulle. What are your notes on the Blazers? Yeah,
a couple of these are not legit Q tags. The Jeremy Grant is probably the least worrisome. Got hit in the face over the weekend and jaw/face. And then he played through it. So I'm pretty sure Grant's in. Tumani's probably the most concerning. Didn't play in the last one from a foot sprain. Obviously, it's an injury that usually could sideline guys there. So could expect him to miss. And then this Delano Banton hip thing is really lingering. So he might be, out of the rotation again or whatever. That would, and then obviously Robert Williams has been playing more of the 4. So that would squeeze, Chris Murray would go away. But other than that, he's not playing a ton of minutes anyways. And shout out Nate Bjorkgren, right? I mean, he's got these guys winning games 2 in a row now. And the minutes were tighter here too. So we saw 2 games ago, Scoot hits the game winner and closed at Anthony Simon's expense. Denny at Jeremy Grant's expense. Obviously, Denny did start for Tumani Kamara. That would happen again if Tumani didn't play. But yeah, shout Nick Bjorkgren. Minutes have been pretty tight for these guys, and the spread's not too bad for the Blazers. So you could get some tight minutes here, especially if Tumani doesn't play. You're getting pretty thin because they don't really seem to like Chris Murray, Ryan Repair, and those guys.
All right. That'll do it for this edition of Established Runs NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. If you joined late, a couple programming notes from us. First and foremost, tomorrow there are day games in the afternoon, but we will have the show same time, same place, 2:00 Eastern time, with myself and Mike Gallagher. That will be the final free show version of this program. Going forward, we're going to put this behind the paywall for our DFS subscribers and for our props subscribers. The goal of this show is not necessarily to try to convert free to paid subscribers. This was ultimately a marketing tool for us as a company, not to sell this show, but ultimately what's happened in the betting markets of late is things are getting tighter and tighter, and we want to find a way to deliver more value to our props customers. And so we're putting this behind the paywall to do that. The props package is an expensive package. It's a high-end package. It's meant to be a smaller group and community of subscribers there. So if this is our farewell to those of you who have enjoyed the show from a free perspective, really appreciate you guys tuning in. There will still be free content on this YouTube channel in the form of our podcast and video versions of that podcast that we release once a week. So there will still be ways to interact with myself and Mike on a free version on this show. We really appreciate everybody taking the time out of their day to listen with us during the course of the last few years that we've had this on free. Tomorrow will be a farewell send-off for that. And if you're interested in checking out any of the premium products, you can go to establishedrun.com/subscribe-NBA. Any of these premium products will get you access to this injury show when it goes behind the paywall starting on 1/1. You can see you've got discounted price tags for the holiday sale at this point in time. As well. But yeah, that I won't be pitching to smash the like button as much anymore. We're not going to be focused on growing this channel and trying to kind of incentivize the business that way. We're going to try to focus what has been our core business, the premium content going forward. So appreciate those of you who have caught up with us during the last few years on the free side of things. And hopefully we'll continue to interact and catch you guys with our podcasts in other live shows that we can do down the road, maybe some more playback stuff and different stuff we've done in the past after NFL season has ended. But got to take care of the subs. Those are the ones who pay our bills. So that's the goal going forward. And with that, enjoy today's games in the slate. I'm not going to do the nom, smash the like button stuff here. We'll see you tomorrow for the last edition of Established Run's free NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. Take care, everybody.